Hello, hello. I hope you guys are good and well. We have a minute to go until it is 5:30. Welcome everybody. Hello, hello. Waiting for the one and only Pia Douwes to join. There she is. There she is. And I hope.
Hello.
Yes. Hello.
Ah,
Let me.
hello there. Let me see if I can get my light better. Wait.
How are you doing today, Pia?
I'm good. I'm actually, let's see if I can. This is the best I can do with the lighting.
And it looks perfect because you're radiating
Hello
from
there.
inside.
Ah, my glasses are like returning the ring light. Look, if I go higher,
You can really see it. Good.
I look like Mickey Mouse.
So,
Hey
yeah, let's
there.
give it a couple of seconds until everybody is there who wants to join. Welcome, everybody. I'm very grateful for you guys to take your time and on a Sunday and to join and experience this conversation. Let me close this door because it's a bit loud. Yeah, in this conversation that I will have with Pia, it's not a new conversation, but it's a new conversation for us, for the two of us that we have.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited about it. So again, welcome to everyone from all over the world. I will introduce myself for those who don't know me, that come from Pia's page. My name is Gino Emnes, and I have been in the musical theater business for the last 22, 23 years. I met Pia in 2000. Well, we met before, but we worked together in 2006, I want to say.
Six?
Six,
Six.
seven.
Lion King.
It was Lion King. No, Lion. Oh yeah, we met in 2001. That's true. But we worked together in 2006 on the Best of Musicals in Germany.
Yeah.
And from there on, we befriended and we kept contact and are in each other's life the way that we are now. So very grateful for that. And because of that. Well, let me go back a little bit why I actually do this talk with Pia. A couple of weeks ago, I started on my page to have conversations with friends, with acquaintances about racism, and this whole thing started for me because of Black Lives Matter that had this awareness shift in 2020 for a lot of people, inclusive myself. And I realized that I was conditioned in a way that I didn't even realize. So I started to have conversations and I wanted to bring awareness and learn myself and maybe educate or give awareness to certain topics that people were not aware of. And Pia and I think I called you, right, with a question. I think it was like that.
No, actually, I left you a message.
Ah, okay.
I think, or did you call me with a question? I'm not. I
think
think I
it was.
left you a message that I had a talk with Ivo and Carolina or something, and then you asked me a question, or the other way around. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, we started to have this conversation, and we realized. I realized that I also never had this conversation with Pia, as I did not with many of my friends, because of insecurity and because of fear, because of respect for the person and the situation and the relationship that I had with that particular person. So coming back to today, we are here now, and we're going to talk about this topic with you guys there. open and respectful. And I know this is in English. Pia and I are both Dutch. We come from the Netherlands. So Dutch is our first language. We've worked in the German-speaking countries a lot. So wir könnten es auch auf Deutsch machen, aber wir entscheiden uns, es auf Englisch zu machen, da wir viele internationale Freunde haben, Bekannten haben, Fans haben. Und ich hoffe, für die, die Englisch vielleicht nicht so gut beherrschen, dass ihr es mal öfters anschauen könnt, damit ihr das versteht. Und wir werden immer wieder zurück auf Deutsch greifen, aber we will talk in English, so it's a little bit more understandable for everyone in the world. Yeah, Pia, would you like to say something? Or
well, I would like to say something that I think it is such a great pleasure to be talking to you about this topic, because you're very involved in it. I mean, actively involved, also on your Instagram, and I listened to a couple of interviews you did, and it's very enlightening to hear different views and opinions and stories, because I think as a white person, we are often, or were not often, aware of the situation that people of color have been in, because the conversation has never really occurred before. And I told you before that I felt I felt awkward about the fact that I was not aware of a lot of things, or that I didn't open the conversation before, because we just took it as normal, the way we lived. And because of the whole Black Lives Matter, and because of the situation that happened last year, was it last year? No, it was this year.
It was last year, 2020.
Last year, exactly. Yeah, we're already half a year further. That there is finally, it's almost like this sheet that's been broken open, and now everything is pouring out with awareness. Mm-hmm. And I'm very grateful that we had that conversation, because there were also a couple of things that I wasn't even aware that you had felt all the time. You had felt the racism, and you had felt the different, that you were treated differently sometimes, and also that people of color in our job have been treated differently, or not been having chances that that they maybe should have had, Mm-hmm. And the awareness helps to see things differently, or to at least deal with things differently. And I also have a couple of questions on how to deal with it now, which is I think great, because when the awareness happens, you start evolving and mm-hmm. developing.
I also would like to say something before we start to have this conversation. We will use terminologies the way we know them now, and also the way we use them in Dutch. That might be different in English, and as we speak English, I would like the English native speaking people to understand that we do speak English, but it's not our native tongue, and everything that we say, the both of us, is with respect. So if you if people know, I would like to say with that, I am not a scientist on this topic. I speak out of my own experience, and I don't speak for the group, I speak for Gino. So everything that Pia, or the questions that you guys have that we will discuss later, I will answer as for Gino. Because in this topic, often what happens is that a Black person stands suddenly for the whole group of Black people. Whereas oftentimes a white person, in this case Pia, stands for the individual Pia, and she answers for Pia. Whereas I will talk about this topic, suddenly I speak for a whole group of Black people, and I cannot and I will not. So that is something that I would like to address before we start, that we maybe could use the term Black and white, Pia. Black people, white people,
okay,
people
Black
of
people,
color
white
we can
people.
use. we can use people of color, which
Yeah,
includes the
because
whole
I
spectrum.
think because people of color, also Asian people or
Exactly.
Latino people,
Exactly.
it's this. They have the same situation in a way,
Exactly. Yeah.
or a little different maybe. Each color has a different situation. Let's put it that way. Even whites. Um, I I find it interesting that I guess white is not a color. That's true. That's in art. That's the thing. But on the other hand, that's my actually. I want to ask you this first question. It's a question that I have because there is there's sometimes confusion with two opinions from people of color. I've
Hmm.
had conversation with different people, and some people of color said, we are the same, we are not different. We want to be seen as exactly the same.
Hmm.
And other people say we want to be seen as who we are because we are different. We do have another color. So what is how do we as whites have to perceive that thing? Because I always saw everyone, I told you that too, as we are this, for me, you are the same as me, right? As a
Yeah.
human being.
Mm.
But you have it, I know you have a different color, but you as a friend are the same as my other white friends, so to speak, in
Yeah.
my mind
Yeah.
as love.
Yeah.
So there is confusion sometimes with white people, like how do people of color want to be perceived? Because there is two things that people say: we want to be the same, we want to be seen as
Yeah.
another.
I think again, you asked me, and I could mm, explain those two situations or those
Yeah,
two views the way I see it. I think the best way is always to ask that particular person that tells you that, what do you mean with that?
yeah,
Like a white person with blonde hair and a white person with blonde brownish hair will tell you, no, I want to be called blonde because it's blonde, and the other person said, no, it's not blonde, it's kind of when a person says, I Gino, I would tell you as PNO, I want you to see me as black because that's what I am. I am black, and that comes with a whole history, and that
mhm,
comes with a richness of my culture as a black person.
yeah,
Now, what you do with that, I want you to see me as the same as a human being,
yeah,
because my ancestors have not been seen as human beings. And we know that
exactly.
from history.
Yes,
So I think we have to talk about the narrative, what we give the color when we say black. In Holland, in Holland, in Dutch, we say donker blank. All those kind of differences, but it is the narrative that you give that comes with the color, that
yeah,
comes with
yeah,
when you say the word black, what happens with us in our minds? Everything in our society, everything in our culture, in the language that is black, that is dark, that is um, not light, is perceived as negative,
yeah,
as not nice. We have sayings, black cat, it's not a positive thing. We have sayings that you are the black sheep, it's not a positive thing of the
yeah,
family. So
exactly.
we associate
Yeah.
blackness with a certain negativity. Now
Even
you
though,
can
even though those two examples have nothing to do with your color.
no, but
It has to
because
do
we
with the
call
night, with darkness.
exactly,
Yeah,
but because we call my skin color black, we
exactly.
associate
Yeah.
under um,
Unconsciously,
unconsciously we
unconsciously it
associate
happens. Yeah.
you see, oh, black.
Yeah. So, question. So, what do I call you then? Not a black person? Because you
For
perceive
me,
that?
no, because I think we have to also think about what does language does. What does language do? We
You.
use language and it evolves. And as we see now, we
Yeah.
are changing language and we are in time where we now think about what does a word mean? Do we want to, is it the word or is it the person? No, it's the word. We give a meaning to that word. So
Yeah.
when you call me black, okay, I don't. I can say, no, I don't want you to call me black, because black in your mind, or it is
Yeah.
used for
But
negative.
so when does when does that stop, that we can talk about the colors, each color, without the prejudice association? Because for you say, I want to be perceived as black with my whole thing, but when I say black, it has the association. So when in your mind,
Yeah.
when do you think in the world, in our society, will there be like a moment where we do not see that as something bad, or and you will not associate it as something bad? Is that going to be 100 years maybe, or
I, I, I,
what do you think?
I think it will happen the moment we all get aware. And that is the thing,
Yes.
when you get aware, when you are aware of what you are saying, what we are saying, and we are not aware, because language is something that we learn from scratch as a baby, as a
Yeah.
child. But we educate our children in a certain way. We educate them a certain history, a
Yes.
one-sided history.
Yeah.
And it is the truth. I want to say, it is 80% the truth, but there's also another truth to the same history. But we don't educate our children that. So
No. True.
we educate that we come and we have conquered, and we have taken over, and we had colonies. And where's the reality, and where's the history about what happened in those countries with those people?
Exactly.
That we don't do. So to come back to language, what I wanted to say is how long that will take. How long does it take for language to change? Yes, I don't think you and I will experience that thing, but I hope that our nieces and nephews will experience it, because
Yes.
we are talking about it and making people aware.
Yeah.
And I think it's all about being aware, being woke about what you say and what it means.
Yeah. So important. I think that's what I'm getting also, is to also educate our kids that the history, the way we perceive it, is not a complete history, because your history has not been included in the way white people are taught, right?
And I am taught.
Yeah.
I got the
And you
same
are taught,
lessons. I got the
exactly.
same lessons
Yes.
that
Yeah.
you have been taught in school, the same
Yeah.
lessons, but it never spoke about me,
Yeah.
about my
Yeah.
ancestors, even though in Holland, and we know that Holland was not, they didn't have clean hands. So,
No, I just
and
read a
we,
book on Indonesia. Oh my God, I was flabbergasted. The
yeah,
revolution.
and that is the painful side of the story, is
Yeah.
that we always, I or Indonesian people, Caribbean people from the Antilles, from Suriname, we, even in those countries, we get
Yeah.
taught your history.
So, when, for instance, right, I have a godchild that's 16 months old.
Yeah.
So how do I teach him in society? Uh, does he, because I was taught that everyone was the same. So my two Chinese friends and my Suriname friend, my friend from Suriname,
Mhm.
were my best friends.
Mhm.
Uh, and of course, I had another white girl also, but I had like a mix.
Mhm.
And for me, they were just like me,
Mhm.
as in I saw they were different, but they were the same. I treated them the same. But because, so can you teach, or I should put it this way, so do I teach him, look, he is a different color, or do I say he's the same person, he just has a different skin color?
Uh, um,
How do you teach children to do it the right way?
First of all, I think when genuine love is there and genuine respect is there, there is no wrong and right.
Okay.
You can only be taught. I believe, like, hey, I didn't appreciate that, or that is not so, you know, I think that is the case. But I think, did you ever ask your Chinese Asian friend or your Surinamese friend how it is in their houses, how what they eat?
Yeah, I
Um,
was there the whole time and I loved it. I ate all their
so
stuff and I was
so
interested and
yeah. So
yeah,
so that is how you notice, yes, as human beings, we're the same. We have two
yeah,
arms, two hands, we have
yeah,
one heart, two lungs, hopefully,
yeah,
all of that. But our culture, maybe in when the doors are closed, are different.
yeah,
And I think it's all about learning, and especially when we go back to a country, the small country of the Netherlands. um, we have such a rich culture and rich history of those
mhm,
things. But it's interesting how white Dutch people do not know about Indonesia or Suriname or
so
the
many
Caribbean.
don't.
And
Exactly.
and and even though it is your history,
Yeah,
you know. And I think it is there that you can educate your godchild, um, by talking about it. I think talking about it
yeah,
and being aware. I think you also, when we spoke about it, you said that there was a book,
yeah,
um,
children book
a children book, and it's
with
so nice.
no
Those things,
no people of color in it. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, what?
but
How
yeah, and that is so
how I mean
normal for me.
it was an older book,
Hmm.
but and I see things changing now. I see children book now that have you know everyone in it in the world, um, which is a very positive thing. Uh, Long overdue, but it's happening. Yeah,
Yeah, so I think it's all about that. I think it's actively talking
getting to
about it.
know the cultures.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
also, and,
yeah,
and I think in general, whether it is sexuality, gender,
yeah,
race, that being different
yeah.
is not a bad thing. It's a beautiful thing to be
But this
different.
but this is what I mean. So uh, you want to be perceived as different, or do
Well,
you
that is
want to
of
be
course,
perceived as the same? This is
of
what I was trying to say in my first question.
yeah, but I think that goes with everything, and I think it's difficult in this talk, in this, when we talk about a topic like this. It's difficult. No, let me say it like this. In a perfect world, there is no
Yeah,
different. There's no
exactly.
difference. There's no difference in sexuality. There is no difference
Yeah,
in gender. There is no thing.
yeah,
But there is, and within the conversation, I would say, see the beauty of the fact that you, Pia, are a woman with brown hair. See the beauty. I, as a man, see the beauty in that. Period.
both.
Done.
Yeah,
Without any kind of judgment and saying
yeah,
like, "Oh, she has curly hair." No, that is, da, 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 da. You know what I'm saying? So I think as open and as,
yeah.
um, free of judgment as possible, if that is any way possible.
Guy van Damme here writes, "We want to be seen as
Oh,
the same, but just with different attributes." That's exactly how I perceived my friends, my
yeah,
childhood friends. They were the same, but
yeah,
I tasted like the different food and realized all these different things that they had, and
right.
um, yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, agree,
Anyway,
fun. Yeah.
sorry, that was like a question that started up a whole
A
conversation,
whole
but it is
conversation.
something because I've had so many conversations with different people, and everyone said something different. That sometimes, as white people, we find it when we want to learn, it's sometimes scary to say the right things, to know what to do, because we don't want to insult anyone. So I think I asked for a lot of people, like that was a big question. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there is also a topic that I would like to address, which, and now we start the conversation,
Well,
which
we've already
I,
started it. It was a big one.
but I understand it from a human perspective, but that attitude or that insecurity needs to leave the table straight away. It
All
needs to
right.
be gone, because with that, you don't help the conversation.
Hmm.
And with that, it is up to me again to make you feel comfortable to talk about the topic. And the topic was not never in my 44 years old
Yeah.
life, never comfortable for me. So
Yeah.
my reality was not comfortable if we talk about this
Yeah.
topic.
So there
Um,
is no insulting in a way. That's what you mean. We can talk. People can talk about this topic, and so if we would, like, as white people, if we would say the wrong things, it would just be the wrong thing.
well, I believe if when the
That we
person
think.
talks and when the person talks from a genuine and respectful way, for me, there's not such thing of wrong. I can correct you. But I would also like white people to understand that not everyone is me. Not
Yeah.
everyone wants to correct or wants to educate, has the time, nor the energy, nor the patience to do so. So not because one black a person of color tells you, I'm sorry, not today, that does not mean, oh, now I cannot talk because they don't want to. No, it's one person. And also with that, I would like also to make to make clear my reality
Yeah.
was that I saw you as a white lady, as a white person, living your life in the norm, in your reality. I
Hmm.
always saw my boundaries. I always saw where I could not go, where I could go, when to
Yeah.
open my mouth, when not to open my mouth, what my limitations were. That was my reality. So I was always aware. Now,
Yeah.
the fact that you, as Pia or as a white person, opened your eyes for the first time does not make it to for me that I now also have to again educate you, if you understand what I'm saying.
In a way, yes. But how do we then learn from each other?
And we learn from each other when you first of all do the work yourself and catch up.
Uh, But how can you learn if you don't, if you can't talk to each other? How can I learn myself if there's no conversation? That's what I mean.
But there are how did you learn in school? There were books, there's Google, there is so many
But
things that you
because
can.
it is so different,
Mhm.
because we're trying to change the history,
Yeah.
we do have to learn, right? Because we can't. It's not there.
It is there, and that is
I
that
mean,
is
it is there, but I think we're. What I'm trying to say is, by exchanging, we learn.
that is
Yeah.
yeah. I think that is how we. Well, the thing is, what is a dangerous thing with I understand what you're saying, but I would like people to understand you learn from Gino, and you don't. My perception and my reality
Yeah.
is not the reality of my black brother next to me, because
No.
that person had
Exactly.
maybe has
Yeah.
another. So not because you talk
Which
to
is the
me,
same. Which is the same for me as a white woman,
and the reality
and
is.
another white woman who has another perception.
But the reality is that your opinion was always Pia's opinion and was never for for a white group of people. My
I get
word and
it.
my
Right.
reality was always talking for the whole black community.
Now I'm understanding what
Because
you're saying.
that is
Right.
that is what we do. That is what we do. When we Gino
Yes.
is okay. Let me maybe to make an bigger and you understand, but maybe for the
Oh,
viewers.
I totally get it now. Really. Yeah.
Yeah, for the viewers, for example, at home, when we go to our business, I want also people to understand. I don't talk about me when I talk about racism in the business because I am the lucky one in the business to have had gigs. But I would like you as Pia to tell me
Yeah.
who else is there as a black male working how I work.
Yeah. Not enough.
And so when I talk, but for me, when I was in the cast or when there is a black person in the cast, the society, white society says we have black people
Yeah. Crazy.
because we have Samantha, we have this or we have
Yeah.
Gino.
Yeah.
But
It's
when we
almost
say,
like,
but when
yeah.
Pia Dawes is in the cast, we have Pia Dawes in the cast, and she's individual for herself. Not you. You don't stand for white people. You stand
I,
for
yeah,
yourself. But I
right.
stand for black people in a caste.
Yeah. Wow.
So when people ask me a question like that, that's why I started the conversation. I talk for me,
Yeah.
and that may be that other people will agree, but there's also other experiences with people from the same color as I am, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Totally.
and that is what I would like people to be aware of. And because I had some questions, and maybe we could go slowly to the
Yeah.
questions as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um, is this
But
comes
this
back
is this is
often?
this is very clear now. I think the way
Okay,
you actually say that.
okay.
That is a wow. That's a whole like it's a mind blowing perception in a way. You know, for people think when they
Mhm.
hear it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, because it comes back often. I don't know how to respond because I have the feeling that, or some people say this, or the person said that. That is one individual, or maybe two,
Yeah.
that told you, I don't want to talk about it, or don't call me this.
Yeah.
But that is two people out of a whole group of people in the world.
Yeah.
And now you reduce that to the opinion of a whole group.
Yeah.
Whereas I talk to a white person, it's the individual that didn't behave so nice or told me off in not in a nice way, and I go to the next one.
Yeah. This is great because that was like a big issue for a lot of people, and I wanted to. You really answered that question for that. Yeah.
Thank you for the question.
So we have a couple of questions from people, huh?
Great. Yes.
Do you want to pick one first, or shall I?
Um, please do. Please do, because I need to go back into my phone then.
See, I've
Yeah.
got it all planned here with a laptop next to me.
You are great.
Last time I was not prepared, so now I am. Oh, this is an interesting question. It's one of the questions that were sent to you.
Mhm.
It's actually in German. Dürfen eurer Meinung nach weiße Musiker schwarze Musik machen? Ist das kulturelle Aneignung oder schafft es die Musik, dass sich verschiedene Kulturen miteinander beschäftigen und durch die gemeinsame Liebe zur Musik ein Stück näher zusammenrücken? So that means like, do we think, or do you think actually, and me in
Yeah.
general, if we're
Yeah.
two people here, that white musicians can make black, as we call black music, because that's another thing.
Mhm.
You know, that's how we perceive it: blues, soul, rap, hip hop. Is that like we are owning that culture then, and should we, or is it that we can actually then the cultures can combine and grow together in the love for music?
Yeah, this goes to the corner of cultural appropriation,
Exactly. Yeah.
and that is respecting another group, a culture of another group. Would you like to start, or your opinion, or?
No, I would like to hear your opinion on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
I
me,
will
I
add
don't
questions
have.
later. Ja.
Wollen wir das auf Deutsch machen oder machen wir das?
Ja, können wir vielleicht ein bisschen. You can do it in. Yeah, let's do it in German. This one. Yeah, we
Ja?
can add in
Okay.
English later. Yeah.
Ja. Also ich finde persönlich, dass das es gibt da kein Problem für mich. Ich finde es ein Problem, und das ist natürlich oft passiert in der Vergangenheit und passiert immer noch, ist, dass Musiker oder lassen wir sagen, weiße Leute damit wegrennen und sagen, es ist meins. Und das ist passiert, wenn wir natürlich reden über Blues, Soul, Jazz. Es gibt sehr viel. Elvis Presley ist ein sehr großes Beispiel. Er hat Gospel genommen, er hat Rhythm and Blues genommen, all diese Sachen. Und er war derjenige, der damit sein Geld verdient hat und seinen Status bekommen hat. Und the recognition, diese Erkennung, dass es von Schwarzer kam eigentlich, diese Musik, darum geht es. Ich finde, man kann das schon machen. Gino hat kein Problem damit.
Ja.
Aber ich finde bitte bleib grounded und weiß, woher du es hast und woher es kommt.
Mhm.
Das ist meine.
Und wie vermittelt man das? Wenn du sagst, ne, Elvis Presley, was hätte er tun sollen, damit er den Respekt ausgesprochen hätte?
Das ist natürlich auch Awareness. Wenn man nicht mal, so Pia's question was, how can you, as a white person, or in this case Elvis Presley, because I spoke about Elvis Presley, how he took all of these different music styles and black music styles and ran with it, sort of say. Got his status, got his famous status.
His fame doing that.
Exactly. And her question was, what should he have done? Für mich ist das, wenn man nicht mal erkennt, dass man es macht, haben wir ein Problem. Können wir es überhaupt nicht besprechen.
But how should he have shown his Erkennung? Oh, that was a funny language sentence. We are used to speaking that way.
Of course. First of all, literally say it. When you have the platform to do so, when you have the awareness, when you have the power to do so, say it. Be aware that you have that power.
Yeah.
That you have that ability to make people think. We are in different times right now than he was. I get it, but still, this conversation is not from last year. You know,
if I would sing the blues, right? If I would sing the blues, also wenn ich die Blues singen würde, then it would be good if I, for instance, in a show would say what?
Ich glaube, es ist ein Unterschied, wenn man natürlich, ich finde es persönlich ein bisschen ein Unterschied. Elvis Presley ist damit rausgekommen und Blues und Rhythm and Blues
verstehe.
Ist groß geworden, weil er es gezeigt hat, gesungen hat.
Ich verstehe.
Und deswegen hat es auf einmal ein Belebung, wie sagt man das, ein
als ob es seine Musik war. Ja.
Genau, und es war seine Musik, aber es war schon lange da.
Ja,
und ich würde sagen, wenn du als Pia Douwes, als Begriff Pia Douwes, als die Darstellerin Pia Douwes was singt, denke ich, ja, es wäre schön, wenn du, das muss jetzt nicht bei jeder Gig sein, aber wenn du mal ein Konzert geben würde oder was auch immer, wenn du sagst, hey, diese Musik hat mir als Kind das und das und das, weil du jetzt bewusst bist.
Ja.
Weil du jetzt bewusst bist, dass wenn weil es nicht der Norm ist.
Ja.
Und ich will weitergehen. Punkt. Weil sonst
Punkt. Genau. That's very clear. Do you have a question?
I sent you the question, so if you wrote them down, that would be great if you can tell. Otherwise, I need to know out of the top of my head.
There is here, this is one. Why do whites find it so hard to let go of the things they do and say that are hurtful? Times that can be hurtful to other races and cultures. The biggest reason or excuse is it was done for so many years. I can't wrap my head around it. It's not really a question actually, but but we talked about this. You know, we say, well, this is how the world is. Well, it's not how the world is, right? I mean, we have to evolve, and we have to realize that it's done because what she says is it's been done for hundreds of years.
Yeah, that is of course is an argument that a lot of maybe older generation will tell you. Why do we now have to say Schokokuss statt N-Kuss? Oder wir ändern die, sorry, was it an English question or a German question? It was an English question.
English question.
So why do we change we have to now change certain. I have been saying it for the longest time. We change it because people are hurt by what you say, and it's in general. Now that we have an awareness of gender issues, all those kind of things,
Yeah.
it is not difficult when somebody tells you it hurts me when you say it. The first thing what I do is, I'm sorry that I offended you or hurt you in a certain way. How can I change that?
Yeah.
That's the only thing what I
Yeah.
can do. And if the person says I don't want to talk about it, okay, then I respect that. Then we move on to another topic, or our paths, separate from there. But I think, if I may talk for a white society, is when you are the norm, and as a white person, you are the norm because we live in a white society, and not only in Europe, the world is a white society. When you are the norm, you don't realize that you are the norm. Your reality is your reality, and
Yeah.
it's the norm. So when suddenly somebody says you cannot say certain things, or it hurts me when you say
Yeah.
certain things, it's a new concept because you have always been able to say.
Yeah.
For me, as a black person in this society, it is the oldest concept of the world,
Yeah.
because I was born and raised knowing my limitations within this society.
Yeah.
And I always, when I say it, I immediately want to, my ego pops up a little bit, and I want to say that does not make me a victim, or we want to feel pity for Gino. No, no, it's the reality. It's just plain reality. Your reality was the norm, and my reality was my reality
Yeah.
looking at your reality.
Yes. Yeah. 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 We talked about this last time. I remember.
Right.
And that kind of went like, oh, whoa, what? That's such a thing that I don't think we really realized. That was one of the first things that made me much more aware of my privilege.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Question here. I just started my work in theater, and it shocks me totally that people avoid topics about racism. Can you tell me, after all those years being on the stage, do you see some changes in people's tolerance and openness for other human races in sharing the stage, especially in modern West? Oh, yeah.
Modern Western world. Please.
Yeah. I don't see enough change yet, I think. I think it's something that needs to, there's two different things actually. First of all, I think it is the theater world done by producers and casting people. I think it starts there also to open their eyes to go, hey, wait, what does art mean? How can we let go of our concepts of that has to be a white person, that has to be a white person, that has to be played by a black person, because that's,
Can you repeat that sentence? What does art mean again? Because we need to resonate. We need to.
yeah, this is the whole thing.
What does art mean?
Yeah, but can I
Exactly.
just finish the other thing first?
Yes. Yes. Sorry.
So producers and casting directors need to open that concept of art much more, right? And I think it has. I mean, of course, Bridgerton is one of the more like examples that's always used. How art can be used in a completely and actually a normal way, because that's the whole thing. That's a normal way. And then you have the concept of the people in the show, right? Amongst each other. That's another ebene. That's another level. Because I don't cast a show. At the same time, I play with people in a show. So I cannot make sure that it is cast the way it is cast, but I can share in my show in a different way than I was used to, and be more aware. And I think those are two different things that are happening, but just not enough yet. because now it is, to my opinion, it is more about let's put more Black people in a show so that it's, feels like we are actually doing something. But that's not, to me, that's an effect. And that's what you meant when you were talking before. It's like, me as Gino had to always speak for a society instead of I am Gino. This is me. And I think that has to definitely change. That it's not an effect thing, but that it is a normal concept to really cast colorblind without thinking we need to have a what do you call it? Evenwicht.
A balance.
A balance. Because that is something different than actually casting from a totally different viewpoint. And now we come to your question. Art is, and I want you to answer that because you had a very good concept about that last time we talked.
Yeah, I also would like to, I have another question then going back, and I will say it, maybe you can think about it while I am talking, because you said the way it happens now maybe feels forced or is not correct. That's what I understood. Like
no, not correct. I mean that it is good, of course, but it is a different concept of when you cast colorblind, not thinking about the amount of Black people you want to put in the show to make it look like, or if you really cast without even thinking that. Those are two different concepts. That's what I mean.
Yeah, I think, okay, I understand what you're saying. It's difficult when change is happening. I think for the people that are used to a certain pattern, change always feels forced, because when you're used to a certain pattern and suddenly you want to change the pattern, you feel like, why are you skipping? What is that? It feels forced. No,
but it needs to happen.
It needs to happen. Exactly.
It needs to happen.
So whether you do it intentionally, just because, I also don't have the right. I think that is necessary sometimes to just do it because we are talking about it now. You need to push it down people's throat so the narrative changes.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Good one.
Because we not, and especially in our profession, we don't only talk about the show itself. We talk about what the audience is. Of course, is one of the biggest factors when a producer thinks of the show. What does my audience want? Who does my audience want as an artist, as a performer? But then we go, how do you educate your audience? How have you been educating your audience? So, sorry, to come back to art. Art to me can be a lot of things, but art, when I think about art, there are no limitations. That is art. We can say it, we can talk about it like no, I wanted to reduce it to our profession, but we talk about art in general. Art does not, it transcends everything. It is a blank canvas. That is art. You can put a right line from a diagonal line, and to you that diagonal line means that, and to me it means stop, and for you it means go, and for another person it means flying, and for that is art. It is open. But we talk about art, but it's already formed because we push it down people's throat. That is art. We do it this way, and that is the norm. And we are used, and then we go, I think, to one of the biggest topics because I see the time ticking.
I know, we can do another 10 minutes.
I think it's one of the biggest that you and I get in this conversation. I don't know. You playing Elizabeth, you originated the role of Elizabeth, and talking about having a woman of color playing the role of Elizabeth, because it's a very for all the non-German or German-speaking people, Elizabeth is, well, everybody that comes on from Pia Douwes' her page know who Elizabeth is, what it was. What do we want with art? What do we want with art? For me, when I like the audience that comes to a show that I play in, or in general, the minute they step into the entrance door of the theater, they enter a world of fantasy. Even if we talk about a story, a true story that happened, it is fantasy, because the person that is on the stage playing that character, the truth, is not that person.
Yeah.
The set that we see are not real houses. It is not the real castle that Sissy lived in. Everything is fantasy. So why suddenly reduce that and now we get into the convenient part. We convenient now suddenly reduce it and say like, no, but it cannot be a black person because we talk about the real story. Well, if it was a real story, we would not talk about the real story, because Pia Douwes was not Sissy. She's not. She's Pia Douwes. She's an actress. And you believe that she is playing this because she's a good actress. Yeah. And so the brain is already so conditioned. We need to see a white person playing that role.
Yeah.
Because it is a true story.
Yeah.
Theater is not true. We make believe.
We had already agreed before that, you know, why not do Black Elizabeth? Right? We talked about that the other day.
Or an Asian or whatever.
Or an Asian, exactly. Or a whole, you know, a whole black cast of Elizabeth, or a mixed cast of Elizabeth. It doesn't matter. So what does that mean for black roles? Can we play black roles? If art is art and it's a fantasy, can then I play Color of Purple?
If art is art, we can do it. But as long as art is not art, and it's not, we cannot change that conversation, because there was a question, and I will introduce also that question, where I got a question: where does racism start and where does it end? Because the person said, she's a she, and or I'm sorry, I think she identifies as a she, and she had black hair, and she said, I have also brown hair, or when I have 5 kilos too much, I will also not be casted for a certain role.
Yeah,
exactly. That is typecasting. But now I am also a human being. So put the 5 kilos on top of me. Will I enter the room? No, because my skin color makes me not enter the room. As long as I cannot enter the same room as Pia. No, Pia is a woman, so I will not go for. Till now, we don't go for the similar roles. Well, but as I with my male white colleagues, as long as I cannot enter the same room because of the color of my skin, we cannot have the conversation about typecasting. We cannot, because I am also a human being, and yes, I can have 5 kilos extra. My nose is maybe too crooked. That is all because we are all humans.
Yeah.
But as long as my skin color prevents me from entering the room, that whole discussion is a privileged discussion.
Yeah. Yeah. So not until that shift has happened, right? Can we do anything or play anything?
Well, it's not so much. You want to say it's not about not do anything. It is, why would you? Because as a white woman, there are so many shows that you can do. As a now we talk about men but as a black woman.
Yeah, but this is a hypothetical question, in the sense, of course that is true. But what I mean is, if we were all the same people, and we had the same, the colorism wasn't there, and we would like be like the inclusivity in a perfect world, we
Mhm.
would then be able to play anything.
Of course, because we're balanced.
It's a
Then it,
hypothetical question because, of
yes.
course, I would not even think about, doing anything like that. But what I mean is, like, because the question comes often, like, if anybody can play that role, then can we also play roles that usually are played by Black people? So that question comes a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so with that, do you understand what I said, what I explained with that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then oftentimes,
Yeah.
we still the shows that we the mainly the shows that we as a Black person will be casted for are oftentimes roles that are the friend of the wait the waiter or the slave, or it's
Yeah.
those it's those kind of, you don't see a woman when we say about we have a show about a businesswoman in Manhattan, and she has a boyfriend. Well, I'm just giving a thingy.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
businesswoman in Manhattan, and she gets into a piano bar, and she meets a guy, and automatically our brain goes white.
Yeah. Yeah.
A
Yeah. Yeah.
businesswoman in Manhattan,
Yeah.
business Manhattan, white.
Whites. Yeah.
So with that, and that is,
Servant.
we're
There
done.
you go. Yeah.
Latino or
Yeah.
Black or
Black,
so,
Latino,
and that is
Chinese.
and it
Yeah.
and I think the conversation gets petty. I'm sorry, petty and frustrating sometimes for people, because I would like white people to be honest, and it is uncomfortable to be honest. But I would like, when we, for example, this realization, when we say a businesswoman in Manhattan, what happens in your brain? I go to
Yeah.
a white woman.
Yeah. Even you.
I,
Yeah,
as a Black
exactly.
man,
Even
goes to a
you.
white woman because I have been educated that that is a white lady,
Yeah.
and I have to redirect in a second. Now I do that, and I be like, no, can be anything, can be Asian, can be Latina, can be thingy, but we are trained and conditioned to think business Manhattan white.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And that
that
is,
so that that's the shift that is, if we can go back to producers and casting directors, that is the shift that they're trying to do, like, forcefully. In that sense, we call it forcefully, but trying to change the
narrative.
mind, the narrative slowly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that is exactly.
Yeah.
Guy also writes it now.
And
Education,
maybe.
because we.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah,
No, no, go
we
ahead.
we have to. It starts with your godchild of a month, 1 year and 6 months,
16
something,
months. Yeah.
16 months. Oh, it starts with that.
Yeah.
When you educate that it can be anything and
Anything.
everything.
Yeah. I think
It
I was
oh,
just, I want, like, I want a perfect world too fast again. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, it's not happening enough. It needs to happen more. But it's true. A guy also wrote that. Guy, I see a lot of your comments, by the way. They're very good. And it's true. Sometimes you need to force something into, to make the shift actually happen, and
and it's
to
interesting because we use the word force. And for your 16-month your godchild, when he's 2, for him it's normal.
yeah.
But for us it's forced because we haven't been used to it. So
Ex-
now
yeah.
suddenly we think,
Yeah.
and then for him it's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, is a news reader, and she's Asian, and so.
Well, I will say though that I often thought, in shows or anything else, I really often thought, is like, why does the help need to be Black, or why does the servant needs to be Asian? That's something I really didn't understand. That what we just talked about, that it's sometimes so typical typecast, whereas it's like, why is it always seen that way?
because history is taught
I
us.
know, but I never understood why that was. I've always had that in shows. I was like, that's weird. Why? Why can't it be anyone? You know?
Yeah, because it's
Why does it
uncomfortable.
have to be? Anyway, by the way, that was Sammy that you were answering, I think, because
Okay.
she was talking about um, the Chancengleichheit,
Okay.
right? I think so.
Yeah.
Live-Chat. Ich frage mich, wo der Rassismus anfängt und aufhört. Ne?
Yeah.
Wegen, ja, genau. Okay.
I just I'm reading certain comments while you just ask, and
Yeah, me
people are
too. And
saying,
I'm trying to read the questions.
and people are saying as well, like you should watch this and this. Of course, there are examples now that we see more and more, but as long we need to keep talking about it to make the narrative. It should not be anymore a topic of, oh wow, it is a black woman. No, it should be very normal. We shouldn't even be able to talk about it. It's not. It shouldn't be able, not even be a thing. You know.
Yeah.
Shall we do one more question and then finish, round it up for now?
Really, I think it's just great that we're
It
keep
is
talking about
fantastic,
it.
but we are already 1 hour at this point.
I know, but it's important. I mean, I'll do another 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 days. Anyway, but we to finish also the conversation, like me also in shows, maybe should have more conversations with even directors or people. Maybe there should be a whole conversation going on, maybe with everyone.
Of course, and I have to say that I know that producers are trying
Yeah.
To get awareness, to maybe start a course or certain things. For me personally, I would like them to go a little bit more out of their comfort zone with this topic, and the fact that to just look around in when we talk about producers and stuff, to look around in the office, how many people of color do they have that are actually building a show, and then oftentimes it is a black show made by white people.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
And that is like, okay, so what do we tell now? Are we telling the comfortable story? Because often, so when we say a black show, it has to do with the history of black people and stuff. Are we now telling the comfortable side of the story for the audience, or are we telling the story? And we are not ready yet to tell the story.
Yeah.
And that is something,
because that conversation needs to be first.
Of course.
Yeah. Of course. I mean, in a way, with Sound of Music, you know, they also really tried to, or not tried, but we had two colored Marias actually, in the TV show. One actually had her premiere today. Natasha had her premiere.
Okay.
She's actually playing Maria. So that's also, I think, a way of putting it on TV that this shift needs to happen. Just to
but I think that is my opinion. Again, people, it's my opinion. I do think that we have to be careful how we do those kinds of introductions to protect also those people that we now throw in front of the lions, because that is what happens when you do that, when you cast. I think
Valerie had a rough, for Valerie it wasn't easy.
And I think because we are in the times where we are, you need to address it. You need to make it a topic because it has not been a topic. So and I'm gonna say something.
It really had an effect. We should have talked about it. You mean on TV? Yes.
Exactly. And also, because are we doing it now to make our conscience feel better? Or are we doing it really to change the person? Because what happens is...
But that's what I meant with my question before.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
With what question? Sorry.
The one I said, when is it about them, or in general, like, do we put people in a show so that our conscience feels good, or do we put them in the that's what I meant
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
But
So
as Guy also mentioned, it is a start. It needs to start somewhere. It needs
yeah.
to shift somewhere, because if you don't do, and you actually just said it, sometimes it needs to shift to go actually to that place.
Yeah. But I would
And I
like,
think that's what they tried to do.
yeah, I would like also to go even a step further, and
Yeah.
and that comes then again to the uncomfortable side. You have not you, but in general, you have not given a certain group of people a chance. So suddenly, when you give that person a chance without any sort of guidance,
Yeah.
you throw them in front of the lion.
Yeah,
And it
absolutely. I
is,
agree.
if you are not prepared to do a certain thing. Okay, I have to go
But
back.
I will say it has to really to do, and I come back to this, and I know that you're very strong opinion about that, but it has to do with the fact that sometimes people don't know, should we address it? Because then you make it obvious, or should we not address it because we agree that we should cast colorblind and everyone's the same. So it
I
comes
but I
back again to not knowing
but that is,
which way is best.
you have, I think in life you will always have different opinions.
Yeah.
So when you explain why you explain,
Yeah.
you can just be honest and genuine. Now if the whole world comes
That's a
back,
good one.
and
Wait,
if
can you
you,
say that? Can you say that again?
when you explain why you explain,
Uh-huh.
people can maybe understand it better. And even then, if the world comes to you and eats you up for it, you can still say, my intentions were this. I am sorry if I
Yeah.
offended, but I wanted to make it a topic because I am putting now two girls
Yeah.
that are of color
Yeah.
in a role that our society never thought of that would happen. And so they, as girls, as women, were never prepared for this. And then on top
Yeah.
of that, you get a, next to the fact that you have 10 girls that are suddenly open for negativity from social media, television, and stuff. But the two black girls, or the two
Yeah. They get
girls of color,
extra.
they get, on top of the fact that their nose is maybe not correct, or they sing a certain way that all of the 10 girls get, they get the extra on top
Yeah.
of that. And
Yeah.
that is something you need to prepare people for, because you
Yeah.
cannot expect, because some people say now, yeah, black, as a black person, we need to have the opportunity, we need to have an opportunity, and then
Yeah.
suddenly, and then you say, okay, go and
Yeah.
sing. But you never taught me how to do it. I was
Yeah.
never in the position that I could do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that is, you need
Well,
to
it's
understand.
something. It's something that we need to learn. This is something
Yeah,
that we have to learn.
to be aware, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. To be aware. Um, that's a good one. Yeah.
And
Um,
yeah,
Berlin Musicals also has a quick question. I just want to. Why are the white population not the ones initiating the conversation on racism in the performing arts in Germany? Surely white performance creators should be the one inviting, making space, and creating opportunities for these topics to be discussed. While I understand that the average European person who is not a person of color feels a sense of shame or embarrassment about the topic, I believe it's time to set aside the shame and fear and begin the hard conversation sooner rather than later. And that's what you meant in the beginning, right? It's
yeah,
like, talk about it, and a
yeah,
person
because
can say themselves if they don't like it or not. Yeah.
yeah, because
We
then
need to
in the
fall
end,
on our faces, you know?
if that
We
is
need to,
necessary, then that's
yeah,
necessary. If you
then
want
it's
to do
necessary.
it, yeah, it's and it's not. I don't see it as falling on your faces. It is more like learning, and learning, with learning that happens. Sometimes you feel a little bit stupid or ignorant or dumb or
Yeah.
not capable of. that is part of the process
That's
of
part of the process. That's what I mean by falling on your face. It's like it's the children, because the children, they fall on their face and then they know, oh, okay, that wasn't so bad. You know, that's what I mean. True, very true. Wow.
Yeah, it's such
I could go on for another hour because
another hour, exactly.
I mean, honestly, I think it's great. Yeah, it's, as I said to you personally before, it's like I feel kind of not. It's sort of like a certain embarrassment about the fact that, you know, the awareness wasn't there before. At the same time, that's just the way it is, and I can now make those steps and be aware and just, you know, move forward with that. Which I'm very grateful that you, you know, opened that conversation and really made that happen.
I want to thank you, really, all of my guests, so to say, but and also you now, for having the conversation, because I understand, especially for a person of not colored, a person, it is a difficult and strange conversation to have, and it takes a lot, I think, to be the woman that you are, to have this conversation, to be open to listen to the other side of the medal. So thank you for that. And yeah, let's see. Let me address now to the viewers. Thank you guys for watching and writing underneath. We both have been reading it and then in the conversation. So keep writing underneath this video. I'm gonna, hopefully I won't make a mistake, but I'm gonna save it so I can post it on my page, and Pia will repost it, I think, as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also want to say, I during our conversations, I kept reading some comments, and they were good, and they were, you know, we need to really keep this going. And I think it's great that people reacted and wrote things, and we need to do our work, our white people. We need to just, you know, get to work, as you say, educate ourselves and keep that conversation going. It's very important. Yeah.
So
maybe we'll have changes, Gino, in the next 10 years that we feel so much happier about when we look back at this conversation.
The biggest change,
for sure.
Yeah, no, but the biggest change for me is already about myself. I am talking about it. I am not keeping it inside of me.
No.
And I've realized that I can talk about it. And I think both sides are learning and educating ourselves about these things. I am now at Tina Turner here, the musical in Holland, and I'm having conversations with colleagues, beautiful private conversations back in the train, at work. And I can feel that they are opening. And I understand that it also has to do with me, the way I approach them, and that I'm keeping my calm and stuff. And I think it's my Aufgabe, how do you call Aufgabe? What is Aufgabe? Duty. No. Yeah, maybe the duty is not, but let's say duty.
My intention, my wish.
Yeah, for myself to keep open and to educate in that sense. But I think that is the biggest step already, that I create my own environment around me, and that you might have a conversation with your neighbor tomorrow, or with another, you know, with your godchild. And anyway, thank you very much, Pia Douwes. Miss Pia Douwes, thank you.
Woohoo! Make sure you save this video, huh?
I'm gonna, yes, I hope really I'm not gonna lose this video. Yeah. Cool. Do my best. Ciao, ciao. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Bye.
Yeah.